How's it going, guys? We are back here with another mock draft. And I'm just going to say, however this draft goes, best luck to all teams. Winners of the draft, at least in the first round, in my opinion, last year was the Houston Texans. They got CJ Stroud, and they make another trade back to back at Will Anderson. I mean, that was aggressive. And many teams probably trying to trade up to get CJ. But the Texans got it done, and it was, in my opinion, I think it won them that draft, at least the first round. But as for the 2024 draft, obviously we don't know who the winner is yet because it hasn't happened. But we're going to go in and get right into it. And kicking things off, I do see the Bears trading the first overall pick because I think they're going to stick with Justin Fields. In my opinion, I think that they should stick with Justin Fields. I don't know who else you go with in that situation. I mean, of course, it would be Caleb Williams if they were to pick a quarterback. It would probably be Caleb or maybe Drake. But Justin Fields can create them explosive plays. The fans are chanting they want him. You got to keep him. But here's the thing. Here's the catch. How do you keep Justin Fields and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. without using the first pick? You aren't getting him with your 10th pick, that's for sure. But how do you get him without using the first pick? Because if you know you're going to pick him, or you know you want him, you need some receivers, some explosive receivers, and he would help out Justin Fields tremendously. And you still got your 10th pick, so you don't have to worry about that. You might go up to 11 or 12, but in this situation right here, as it sets right now, you still got that 10th pick. So you just gotta be very careful in what you pick here if you're Chicago Bears GM. But there is a way that they can still get Marvin Harrison Jr. But you got to figure if you make a trade, let's say they make a trade, with the Giants. There's no way you're getting Marvin Harrison Jr. at 5. Cardinals don't need a quarterback. So the only other way they aren't going to get they aren't going to get them way down here either. The only way that you can do that is if you either make a trade with the Commanders, which it's very rare that you see a team move up from 2 to 1. You usually see teams get leaped, but you either got to make a trade with the Commanders, you can pick them at 2, or right here, hope that the Commanders pick a quarterback, and then pick him up right here at 3. So that's exactly what I'm going to say happens. Now, obviously, in this situation, it's probably going to be a first round, another first round, a second or third round, and a 2026 first round. Because we all know quarterbacks are expensive. They have great value, and the first overall pick is very expensive as well. So this would cost them. It definitely would cost them. And it could be a player involved as well. It could be a first, next year's first, a third, and a player. But that player would have to be someone like Juju, Devontae Parker. Juju didn't really do much for them, so I'm going to say they trade him. First overall pick next year, first overall pick this year, trading their picks. And they're probably honestly going to want to sack him. And obviously that would kick off before the draft. So we'll go in and start that off. So then, going into the draft, you got the Patriots with the first pick, and you got the Bears with 2 top 10 picks. Now, obviously, in this situation, Patriots take Caleb Williams. Now, a lot of people say still, Caleb Williams might not be a first overall pick. He's, a lot of people doubting him. Man, you got to look at this boy's, stats. He's averaged 90 all through the last 3 years. He hasn't been one of the greatest this year, but he's still an explosive an explosive player that can make explosive plays. He's a playmaker. He can make plays. Caleb Williams is still very, very talented and very good. Regardless whether the Patriots go him or Drake May, they're picking a quarterback when they trade up from 3. And I think 3 is a great spot to trade up to get your hopefully next franchise quarterback. Then here, the Bears are hoping. The Bears are hoping that the Commanders take a quarterback, and I don't see why they wouldn't. I got them picking Drake May, and I think he would be a good fit there. And the Commanders, maybe they're probably going to fire Ron at the end of the season. But as you see here, Drake May didn't really do too hot in 21, but 22 and 23, he his passer rating was average over 100. TDs this year 24 to 9. Last year 37, and he's been on it. He's also can make explosive plays as well. And then that puts the Bears in a good position to pick up their man Marvin Harrison Jr. and not have to pay him that first overall pick money, and get future first overall picks, another player. So in this, they got the second round pick this year, they got the first round pick next year, and they got Juju, and they got Marvin Harrison Jr. So now they have all sorts. They have Juju and Marvin Harrison Jr. so far. So they've got players now that can make explosive plays to help Justin Fields. Right here with the Cardinals, they could pick Fajuana. They need talent. They need offensive weapons. They need a wide receiver. They also need tackles. I think you've got to build your offensive line back up. Help Kyler Murray. You can get receivers in the free agency. You can get explosive playmakers in the free agency, offensive weapons, but it's hard to get tackles. So I have them picking Fajuana with their fourth pick here. And then that brings up the Giants in an interesting spot. They could have traded up. They could potentially trade up to get the number 1 pick. It's possible. It just, from the Bears standpoint, if you want Marvin Harrison Jr., if you don't want Marvin Harrison Jr. and are okay with trading down, you can get Malik Neighbors with this 5th pick here. So you can still get offensive weapons and set yourself up for the future in drafts. But if you want Marvin Harrison Jr., the only possible real way that you can still get him and trade your pick and get future picks is by going to that number 3 spot and making that trade with New England. And it also sets you up better financially. You don't have to pay him as much money. He's still going to get paid a lot of money, but you don't have to pay him as much. You don't have to pay him that first overall pick. You still get Marvin Harrison Jr., the best receiver in the draft, one of the best receivers we've seen in the draft in a while. Malik Neighbors is still good. Don't get me wrong, no disrespect to him. Rome Odunze is still good. They're still very talented receivers. Keon Coleman, Devontae Walker. They're still talented receivers in this draft. But we all know Marvin Harrison Jr., as they call him, Maserati, he's on a different level. But with this 5th pick here, Giants chose to set back, not make that trade up to the number 1. Or maybe they did try, and they just didn't get it. But either way, they're here at the number 5 position. And honestly, the best selection moving forward, and it's going to be an unexpected one, is taking the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels, and building around him. Could take Malik Neighbors and hope that Daniel Jones comes back and strong, has an offensive weapon, and that could happen, very well could. But it would be best in this situation to take Jaden Daniels, someone that you know is explosive, someone that you know that can pass the ball, someone that you know that can make explosive plays downfield, someone that you know that can run on their feet, way better than Daniel Jones can, better than Tyrod, better than any of your quarterbacks you have right now. No disrespect to Taylor, he's good too, but we all know how explosive Jaden Daniels can be, and he can threaten you with his arm, he can threaten you with a short, medium, deep pass, he can also threaten you with his legs. You got to prepare for him with everything. Jaden Daniels is still talented. I don't care that it says his 20th ranking, whatever. All of these are just, it has to do with stats, the way that they put their stats together, the way that they average their points up, and then they decide, oh well, this is the 5th best player. None of that matters. We've seen players on here be 3 or 4 and not get picked till 10, not get picked till 15. It can happen. We've also seen players that were ranked 30 get picked in the top 10. It can happen. Jaden Daniels, I think, in that situation, if you're the Giants GM, you got to get Jaden Daniels. Here at number 6 spot, you got the Chargers. They're interesting. They could trade. Don't really know who you would trade. I mean, you could trade with maybe the Jets, and they want to come up and get Neighbors. They would have to give you something, make you trade down, because then you're losing a receiver. and it could be a good spot to actually get Brock Bowers. So there's two different ways the Chargers could do this. One, you take Malik Neighbors and you call it done. You don't trade down. Two, you trade down. You still probably get Brock Bowers because the Titans are probably going to go with a tackle. They could go with Brock Bowers, but probably going to go with a tackle. And you still get your man. If you're Chargers, that's kind of what you got to bank on. Obviously, you're going to ask Jets in this situation to tell you who they're drafting, but they might not. And then I think they also got to give you an either third or second round pick, or a pick next year. So this is the trade that we're going to go with. Jets come up. Jets are able to get Malik Neighbors, and then we're on with the Titans. Now, what would suck for the Chargers in this situation is if the Titans took Brock Bowers right now, because we all know that's why they would be trading down. Obviously, they would still probably get a very talented player because there's other positions that they need filled, but it would really suck. But no, I get the Titans. They're thankful that Joe Alt's still on board. They're taking him. They're rebuilding the offensive line for Will Levis's future. Then you got the Chargers here. They traded down. They still get their man. They get him 2 picks later, so they don't have to pay him that 6th overall draft pick money. They now have to pay him the 8th overall draft pick money, and they still get their man. And he can be very, very, very explosive. Brock Bowers is very explosive playmaker. And with Aaron Rodgers, we all know Aaron Rodgers, or correction, would not be Aaron Rodgers. The Jets, if they don't trade up, they take him with the 8th pick. Either way, Brock Bowers is probably going to 8 because he's either going to the Jets or someone else that trades up or down to hopefully get him. But with Justin Herbert and his future, he now has a talented tight end to throw to. Then you got the Falcons on the board. You know, there's a lot of different situations that they could go here, but I'm going to say that they repair that defensive back and their secondary, and they pick Kool-Aid McKinstry, and be their second straight year that they picked a Alabama player with their first overall their first pick selection. And then you got the Bears back on the board again, and they've already got their man Marvin Harrison Jr. Now I think it's time to repair that defense, and whom other than Dallas Turner. Be 2 straight Alabama players picked back to back, and we all saw Texans last year. They got Will Anderson. This year the Bears get Dallas Turner, and then the Falcons get Kool-Aid. And I think that Dallas Turner would be a good fit there with the Bears. Now that we're out of the top 10, move a little bit faster here. We got the Raiders here. I see the Raiders picking. They have Aiden O'Connell, but I don't know for sure if Aiden O'Connell's the man. He might be. They might say he's the man. They might go with him, and they might go a total different direction. I'm going to say that they go here. They might try to repair their defense because it needs help too. But I got them taking Bo Nix with their 11th overall pick. Staying over there on the East Coast, and he could potentially be a good fit there. I mean, you look at his stats. I mean, he's really improved. At Auburn, he didn't really do much. 2021 and then 2022 at Oregon, he started getting a little bit better. And then look at this: 45 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Now I know, 44, 50 in passing yards, 135 QBR. I mean, that's impressive. I know that maybe they don't play the greatest teams. Like, look at some of the teams that they're playing here. Just having a heyday on Hawaii, having a heyday on Washington. Not a heyday, but having a good day on Washington. Both Washingtons, actually. Cal, he didn't play the greatest, and then when he played Washington again, he kind of got shut down because they learned him right here in Week 7. But, regardless, he's an elite player. Oregon might not have the toughest schedule in the world, but I believe he's an elite player. And, I say that he goes in the first round. If he doesn't go by, um, I say if he doesn't go by the 14th pick, I don't think he does, because no one else really needs a quarterback, maybe besides the Rams. But if he doesn't go by the 14th, it's gonna start getting real. He's gonna start getting real nervous, and I would too, because then your next selection is 23, and if you don't go there, you ain't going in the first round, unless a team trades to get you. But now we got the Vikings on the board. You know, it's hard with them, but I'm going to say that they go with Nate Williams here. Then you got 13. I'm going to actually say that the Saints trade their pick. Okay? And hear me out here. I'm going to say the Saints trade their pick to the Seahawks. Seahawks, of course, trading up just a couple spots here. And don't really have to give them much besides maybe a sixth. Could give them fifth round in 2026, but we'll say sixth rounder because 2026 isn't on here. And Seattle Seahawks come up to get Gerard Verse from Florida State. And I believe that would be a good selection for them as well. Then you got the Broncos here. You know, there's different selections the Broncos could go, but I believe Chop Robinson would help out their defense, and he goes there with the 14th overall pick. Then you got the Saints here. They'll come up. They'll get Talise. Another good tackle for them. The Bengals here. They need to improve on their offensive line still. Get J.C. Latham to help out on that offensive line. You got the Cardinals here. Now earlier the Cardinals took a tackle. Now it's their time to take an offensive weapon or defensive weapon. But I got him taking Rome Odunze. He fell here a little bit. But now he goes with the 17th overall pick to the Cardinals. Then you got the Steelers here. Steelers are interesting as well, but I got them taking Terrion Arnold from Alabama. Could take Cooper too, but I got him taking Terrion. Then you got the Green Bay Packers here. Aren't really there's a few good tackles left, but I got him taking Newton from Illinois. Not Illinois, but Illinois. Then you got the Bucks here. Of course, why wouldn't you take this man right here? He's fallen a little bit. Now, he had a great season this year, but you know, we always see them players that's ranked high. Like I said, this don't really matter, but we always see them players that's ranked high, and they fall a little bit, and he's one of those, but he still goes in the top 20. Still goes in the first round, well inside it. Then you got the Colts here. Colts need more offensive weapons. They also need help on defense. I got them taking Devontae Walker in a few mock drafts. I think this one I'm going to go defensive side. Help out their defense a little bit, and they take Cooper. And he fell a little bit too if he does go at 21. Not really fully expected from him. Then you got Braylon Trice going to the Jags there. Another player who fell a little bit. Now we're getting back on track a little bit. But it's interesting because the Rams, I mean, they've got to prepare for the future. They drafted Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett fell apart. Didn't really work out. You got Matthew Stafford. I mean, he's getting up there in age. You could get a quarterback later on, and that's what I'm going to say they do. You'll see when I do my my 3-round mock draft here in a little bit. Here in a few weeks, it's going to have them taking a quarterback in like probably maybe the 3rd or 4th round. Still a decent quarterback left. Maybe Quinn Ewers on there, J.J. McCarthy, someone like that. If not, you still got not Spencer Rattler, but you still got maybe Jordan Travis. Or maybe Sam Hartman, someone like that. But for this, I'm going to have them taken unsuspected, a linebacker, and I'm going to have them taken Edgerton Cooper from Texas A&M. And not fully expected for him to go inside the first round, so if he does, that will be a surprise to, I'm sure, a lot of people. Then I'm going to have the Bills taking Devontae Walker. Then I'm going to have the Chiefs. They're also going to take a receiver. I'm going to have them taking Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. And he will be a good fit there with, Patrick Mahomes needs receivers that he can count on, and Emeka Egbuka will be a good receiver for him to count on. Then you got the Eagles here. I've got them taking Enes Reichstahl from Missouri. And you get the Lions here. Now the Lions, of course, you still got some good corners left that could help out the Lions. But I'm going to have them taking a corner later on in the draft. There's no real good tackles left besides Amaris Mims, but they don't need to tackle. I don't know whether they need tackles if they're going to slide one of their tackles to the inside, or maybe slide the tackle that they draft to the inside. Interior offensive line, there's not many, but I got them taking JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson. He's not expected to go in the first round, but we'll see. And then you got the good old Texans here. And Texans don't really need to improve their offensive line. They really need some more offensive talent, just a little bit. And I've got them taking Brian Thomas Jr. And then I've got the Dolphins here picking up Amarius Mims. Sorry for the stutter there. And then you got the Cowboys here. Now the Cowboys always like to try to go, kind of deep down. They don't just take the guy that's sitting there. They like to find their talent, and that's fine. I got them taking. Maybe they could take Amari, Laster, Dennis Burke. But I'm going to say that they take man that's sitting right here, Leonard Taylor. I mean, he's had not a greatest year this year. Only had one sack. But I've got him taking Leonard Taylor. Then we have the 49ers. And I'm actually going to have the 49ers to trade. All right. Let's see who's still on the board here, actually. So make sure that this makes sense. I'm actually going to have, because we all know Ravens come on the board. They might take Keon Coleman. He might fit into their system a little bit. I'm going to have the 49ers trade with the Panthers for their 33 spot, and then, or actually for their 65, because they want to still keep that 33, and then their round 7, because that was given by the no, that probably wouldn't, for the round 7, because that was given by Arizona, and then 2026 they would probably need to trade a 5, maybe 6, but we're gonna do that. And then the Panthers come back inside the first round because they traded their first, what would have been their first overall pick. They traded it to, didn't even have to, last year they didn't trade for it. This year they didn't even have to trade for it. They would have just had it. But they traded it to the Bears in the last year when they got the first overall pick then. And they could come back up and get Michael Penix. They could come back maybe, possibly. I don't think that they would because they're not going to give up on Young that quick, but it's possible. But I've got them coming back in to get a receiver, and that receiver is going to be Keon Coleman. Bryce Young needs some offensive weapons. That stops the Ravens from being able to take Keon Coleman, and then that maybe influences the way that they go about things. Because there's no good corner on the board, then that's good corner is, I mean, they could potentially take him. There's really no one here for them to take, besides maybe Troy Franklin. But I don't really think they need many more receivers. They drafted a receiver last year. They could draft some of these receivers in the second, maybe third round. So I've got them taking Kamari from Georgia. And that is my pick. That is my NFL mock draft this far. It's not horrible. I think that would be great for the Bears to trade down to 3. I think that would be great for the Patriots to get Caleb Williams. It'd be good for the Giants to get Jaden Daniels. It'd be good for the Chargers to get Brock Bowers at 8 instead of taking him at 6. Or they could take Malik Neighbors and play it safe. But then he would probably be going to the Jets. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe. That helps me out a lot, and helps me make more videos like this. And yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you say I'm wrong about a certain place or a certain team taking a certain person, let me know why down in the comments, and I look forward to reading them and responding to you. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe.